Happy day. Whatever day it is that you're watching this. So today I wanted to make a video really quickly about this idea that autoimmune disease is a blessing just as much as it is a burden. Okay. I have multiple social media channels, and in all of them, I get questions a lot about what it's like to live with an autoimmune disease, or asking for specific tips for how to manage an autoimmune disease. And I actually battle rheumatoid arthritis, for those of you who don't know, and I have managed rheumatoid arthritis without prescription medication or any medication really for the last almost 4 years. Prior to that, I was on medication for almost 5 years. So I have lived about half and half battle with RA, where medication worked and then medication stopped working, and then I really did a lot of research and figured out ways to incorporate nutrition changes, mindset changes, lifestyle changes that have allowed me to live how I live now. Okay? There's nothing miracle about it. So I don't want it to ever come across like, oh, if you take this one thing, this one supplement, you will completely be healed. I don't believe that for a second, because it wasn't one step that made this happen in my life. And it's also not one step that continues to allow it to happen, right? It is the entire conglomeration of all the little changes that happen along the way. But a big part of it is our mindset. My mindset specifically had to swap from this feeling of I am stuck with this, and this is my life, and this is how I'm going to live, and this is forever, and this is just it, that, right? To a life of thinking about disease in a way of like, well, what if I, change my nutrition and end up feeling better? What if I change how I think about this and I feel better? What if I move my body and I grow stronger? What if? And it literally is a series of asking yourself questions like, what if, that move you in the direction towards healing. And it was not one thing that changed that made me all of a sudden able to manage without medication. It was everything that changed. Like, I did a full overhaul. So I have also talked with a lot of warriors, autoimmune warriors, and found that, there's usually some sort of emotional traumatic event or stressor or some kind of thing that happens in our life that then leads to, depending on your lifestyle as well, coupled with if you're not eating very well, or, you don't take care of your body. That was my story. I had some emotional event, and I did not care about nutrition. I ate sugar like it was going out of style. Like, I literally ate sugar. And I was obese, like morbidly obese. To me, it's the obvious breeding ground for disease. Okay. And knowing that, just knowing what I know now after researching different things and learning about health and nutrition and how food can heal, and just seeing other people do it too, I 100% understand why rheumatoid arthritis came out of nowhere. And, like we feel, especially if you battle disease, you know what I'm talking about when it feels like it strikes you. It felt like it struck me. And it took away a lot of time in my year that I turned 27, and then the year that I turned 28, and the year that I turned 29, and 30, and 31, and 32. It took until I was 32 years old before I was like, enough is enough, right? 5 years almost on medication. Definitely 5 years of living with the RA pain. And it just, nothing clicked, right? I wasn't ready. I was not emotionally ready, mentally ready, physically ready to take the next steps of responsibility in order to manage my disease a different way. And I have seen stories of other people, so I don't want to hear, well, that's great for you, but Because the truth is, everybody has to do this legwork. Everybody has to do the work of, okay, I've got to figure out my mindset. I've got to start working on it. I've got to start healing it. There's things. Everybody has things, right? We all have our hangups. We all have our, beliefs. We have our possibly programming from growing up a certain way. It doesn't matter. The way we think about things, the stressors we allow to come into our life, and also the negativity that may breed from that kills us. Like, whether you battle autoimmune or not, negativity is the death of any kind of progress. So if anything else, and you are listening to this and you're like, I don't care about rheumatoid arthritis, I don't even know what that is, kudos for you. Congratulations that you don't know what it is. Like, thank God that you don't have to know what that feels like. Or any autoimmune disease for that matter, because it literally is indescribable and also like your own personal kind of hell. But if you are a negative individual or you allow a lot of negativity into your life, it's going to continue to breed. It's going to multiply and multiply and multiply. And eventually it manifests in different ways. And that happens for some people as disease, okay? So the other thing though is if you're thinking that way, but then you're also eating that way. And I don't believe in good and bad food, but I do believe there is food that is extremely healthy and very, very nutrient dense. And then there's food that is basically chemicals and processed and devoid of any kind of nutrient that you actually need, okay? I was one that ate way more of the chemical side of food, and I liked vegetables, I liked fruit sometimes, but I was way more into like, hey, give me some fast food, give me some really sugary coffee drinks, give me some cereal, boxed cereal, lots of grain, give me dairy, give me all the things, right? And this concept of having to figure out through elimination what kind of foods are actually causing you the most inflammation in your body scared me like crazy, because I really thought in my head that I would never get to experience delicious food again. I was sure that I would never have the joy of eating, my favorite things anymore. And I had a really strong emotional connection to food. And it took like baby steps of changing up nutrition habits long before I ever went into the inflammation elimination process to really understand like, hey, you can do this. Like, to grow that confidence, just that little bit, right? Hey, this is possible. Hey, like, look at you, look what you just did, And losing some weight, that really helped as well, because there is a myth, and I will be 100% transparent. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I battled it through most of 2010, wasn't diagnosed until early 2011, and was immediately prescribed daily prednisone and methotrexate. When methotrexate stopped working, I was prescribed continue the prednisone, and then I started taking Plaquenil instead of methotrexate. Always had folic acid, and always in pill form daily. All of it. So I was on prednisone. So if you have ever taken prednisone, especially as an autoimmune warrior, you know that right? You get moon face, and it's a real thing, you guys. Like, it was crazy. But I also have seen a lot of people talk about this in the autoimmune community, that if you're on prednisone, you cannot lose weight. That is a lie. That is completely 100% false. I lost 85 pounds. And actually, then when I reignited my whole wellness journey about a year later, I lost the last 15. So I lost 100 pounds while on prednisone. So it's totally possible. It is just about really dialing in that nutrition and figuring out, what nutrition works best for your body. So that aside, it really took, those little wins in order to kind of build up the momentum and the confidence to understand like, whoa, you could go somewhere with this, and you did that, right? So why not try this? Like, why not? And it continues to be that way, you guys. Like, I do things now that I never, as a even healthy 25-year-old, could do, first of all, secondly, wanted to do, and third, ever thought I would be able to do, and physically, mentally, emotionally, nutritionally, like, it all goes together, and it's all very important in the process of whether an autoimmune disease is a blessing or a burden. And I think, I'm going to be the one that says this, I have seen other people with autoimmune diseases that deal with digestion and, spinal things and skin issues. And a rheumatoid arthritis is invisible. And honestly, knowing how I react with other things, I'm thankful that my disease was rheumatoid arthritis, because it taught me a different kind of tolerance. It taught me a different kind of patience, and it also taught me how to actually become strong, right? So, blessing or burden? I say this with complete love and empathy, and I want this to come across as clearly as possible, because I know this is going to get backlash, but I have to say it either way. If the whole process of living with an autoimmune disease is, triggered by a stressor, and that stressor is often something emotional or something, that we are thinking in between our ears, that has happened to us, right? Emotional events cause stress, but they cause a lot of damage to our mindset. If that is all the case, then thinking that having an autoimmune disease or living with an autoimmune disease, I don't say have it. I don't have rheumatoid arthritis. I live with it, and for right now, it's very peaceful. There were times before where it was not peaceful, but we coexist, right? So don't possess it. Like, that's a mindset thing. And I know this sounds foreign, especially if you've never, ever heard any of these things about manifesting or, switching up how you think, positive thinking instead of negative. You might not even realize that's what's happening, right? But it will do you so much more of a favor with how you feel, because your outlook on life is so vital for how you feel in your day-to-day world. What you find as a blessing, what you're grateful for, what you are, finding thanks in, instead of always complaining about. What you focus on expands. So if you can focus on a blessing versus focusing on a burden, it's going to help more blessing come into your life, and it's going to allow some changes to occur that you are not going to expect, but it really does boil down to this piece right there. So I know it's hard. This is a tough topic. It's a tough disease. And it doesn't mean anything has to happen overnight, or that it has to happen in any other way that another person you might follow or see a video from has done. The exciting part of this, and I hope that most people take it as that kind of challenge. I'm definitely really challenge based, and I love being motivated by a good challenge. The exciting part of it is you get to figure it out. And problem solving, if you can, piece together the little parts of your own puzzle of what it's going to look like for you to live exceptionally, even if you're on medication, that doesn't matter. It does not matter. It is about switching how you think about all of these things to start living your life instead of letting your life live you. And that does include, eating foods that bless your body. It does include moving your body so that you're strengthening your joints, because the more you move, the stronger you will be. And as those joints get stronger, oh, you guys, my wrists and my fingers were my worst areas for joint pain every single day and swelling. And as I moved into being medication free, my wrist still would ache occasionally, never to a point where I was like, oh, this is really bad, like I should take some medication or ibuprofen. I lived on daily medication, but I also lived on daily doses of 24 200 milligram ibuprofen. Like, I lived on pills. Okay, so having the joint pain in my wrist still was always kind of like, oh, really? And it's occasional. It still hurts occasionally. If I eat a certain way that I know causes me inflammation, that's immediately where it flows to. So I know, like, I have to backtrack and clean it up a little bit. But I have been doing specific workouts at home for the last 4+ years now. And at first, doing any kind of move on my wrist was nearly impossible. I would get so frustrated with myself. I would want to quit. I would feel like a failure. There were times I cried. There were times my wrist gave out. And it's just been in the last, like, recent months. But I have so much strength. Like, I can actually go down on the floor and do a move where my wrist and my hand are flat on the carpet instead of holding on to handles or instead of being on my knuckles. And it is, a real tribute to the fact that I never stopped. Like, yes, it hurt. Yes, I was frustrated. Yes, I wanted to quit. But by showing up for myself and strengthening my body, and you guys, your wrists, it's a small area and very targeted. So, like, doing things to strengthen it is totally possible, but you got to be really intentional with it and continue to do so. If you strengthen all of your body around it, everything is supporting it and it's making it so much better for your mobility. So that is something that I'm super proud of. My wrists, my strong wrists, like, they're just growing stronger workout by workout. And it's super surprising because I do remember the feeling of wanting to quit. And I do remember the feeling of, this is never going to get better. And I'm going to have to just live this way forever. And, potentially I'm going to lose mobility in my wrists and I'm just going to, have to deal with it. And I don't let those thoughts come in anymore. That's how strategic it has to be. When you have those thoughts that creep in, you sweep them on out, because your mind is a very precious space. And those kinds of thoughts do not get to pay rent, okay? So if nothing else, find something today that you can look at and know is a blessing in your life, and then run with it. When you start seeing one thing, you'll start to see 2 things, and before you know it, you'll have a list of 20 things. And if you can really get into that, like, oh, I'm glad for that, right? I have this, but I'm happy that. And it's okay to have the struggle. It's okay to have the burden. But it's also really, really helpful to have the blessing to kind of, it doesn't cancel it out, but it definitely helps change your focus. And when you change your focus, you're going to expand on the thing you're focusing on. All right? I hope that's helpful. I would love to hear what you think of that. If you have any questions, definitely drop them below. I like to be an open book. All of the places you can follow me are listed here on my channel, and I can't wait. I hope to do more videos like this, kind of explaining more about my own RA journey. And if you also battle RA, just say hello below so we can connect. I love being able to connect with other warriors and, hear how it's going. So thanks for watching. I'll talk with you guys later. Bye.